Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining our new episode to the Digital Nomad Mom podcast. Today, we are talking about everything remote work with Denis Hiller. And like usual in the show, we try to debunk the notion that the digital nomadism and this lifestyle is only for people who don't have families or for the very smart tech guys or yes, so we try to shed some light on options for you guys who are listening today in respect to what alternatives are out there, and perhaps if you can start this lifestyle too. So today, like I said, I'm joined by Denis Hiller, and he's the co-founder and label manager of NoFace Records. It's a popular electronic music record label, and their team is fully remote with team members divided between the US, Dominican Republic, Europe, and Asia. Previously, Denis was a tech entrepreneur, founding two successful tech companies before turning his attention to the music business. So thanks, Denis, for joining me today, and welcome to the show. Very glad that you found the time, and I think I hand over to you. I would like to hear a little bit about yourself. If you can just introduce yourself again to the audience and tell us a little bit about you. Thanks.
Sure, Julia, and just wanted to say thanks again for having me on the Digital Nomad Mom podcast. And I love that intro about, you don't have to be a tech person to be sort of location-free, remote, and everything else. And I think that's amazing. I'll give you a very quick intro. So I think you covered most of it. I am the co-founder of an electronic music record label, and we are really worldwide from the standpoint of the music we sign is literally on the world. So we have artists ranging from India, US, Germany, South Africa. I could go on and on and on, almost every country in the world. And our team is remote. So I divide my time between here in the beautiful Dominican Republic and Miami, which is only a 2-hour flight away. We have a team in the Dominican, team in the US. We have people who really just change locations all the time. We started the company that way, and we intend to keep it that way because, frankly, who wants a boss hanging over their shoulder all the time? You know what I mean?
That is true. And that is already one aspect of remote work. I mean, you decided to go fully remote with your company, and I guess this is one reason also for you, perhaps because you previously, before you founded this company, you were an online entrepreneur yourself. And tell us a little bit about this and the motivation to go fully remote with this company.
Yeah, so my background before the music, I've been in the music industry now for 10 years. And before that, I did have a tech background, being the first employee at a tech startup and then co-founding a tech startup. And then at a certain point, I was just more interested in music than tech, even though there is some overlap. And the motivation for NoFace Records is that we just didn't feel like a record label like this existed. And this is the record label that we wish existed when we were getting into the music industry. And what I mean by that is a record label that focuses on new artists. A lot of labels only want to work with bigger folks, or they want to see a certain social following, et cetera, et cetera. And we said, we don't care about that. We don't care if you're living with your mother or you're the biggest superstar in the world. We'll judge you exactly the same way. When you send us your demos to demos@nofacerecords.com, we just listen to the music and judge it. And beyond that, we really focus on online education. So, we have over almost 200 students working with what we call the NoFace Academy, which is teaching the business of music and music production. Other than that, on our Instagram and all over the place, we have a content team that's just putting out content. Because if you think about it, when you make music, when you send a song to a record label, whether it's us or the many other great labels out there, that's the end of a creative process, Julia. So you've been working on your music for a week, a month, maybe even a year, and then you send it. But what happens before? In other words, who's going to be there to teach you about the process of making music? music theory, all these other great things. And who's going to explain to you how a contract works, what's in there, et cetera? And we thought, you know what, we're at a point where we've done this. We've been around the world. My business partner and I, he's a DJ producer, international level, all that. And so we thought, you know, we want to create something that really is for new people and to bring them into the music industry. We don't sign long-term deals. So we literally sign your song and adios. And, you know, a lot of other bigger labels pay attention, and we're happy to be your gateway into this wonderful business. And we've worked with a lot of artists doing that, and we're happy having that role.
Okay, yeah, that sounds fantastic. And yeah, I really like the idea. I'm
Thank
sure
you.
this is becoming really popular. I mean, it's already popular. And let's hear a little bit more about your work routine with your remote team. When you say you're sprinkled all over the world, so how do you do this on a daily basis? Do you meet on Zoom, or do you have Slack, or what tools do you use to actually connect with your team?
You know, that's a great question. So we our team is all over. So for example, we have two PR folks. One of them, Christopher, is based in New York City. You know, we have a person in Lithuania, so on and so, really spread out all over the world. Part of it is we don't do a lot of oversight, oddly enough. Like when I used to work in tech, we did a lot more project this, do that, blah, blah, blah. And I think a lot of it came down to you know, there's a lot of management and overseeing and pushing people. The music industry is so hard to get into. I really mean that. No, you will not find a music company that has a recruiting department because there's just too many people who love entertainment. And so there's more candidates than there are job openings. And so for that reason, we don't do too much oversight. We have literally a company meeting or two on Zoom, probably once every 2 weeks, maximum once a week. Very short. We keep it 20, 30 minutes. Everybody just go over, okay, blah, 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 blah.
Mhm.
And other than that, there are occasional check-ins, but most of what we're doing is really focusing on the community. And what I mean by that is we have an Instagram with almost 40,000 electronic producers, artists, and listeners. And, you know, we have a Discord chat server with 1,300 folks, and, you know, they're creating music there and doing all these other wonderful things. And so a lot of what we're doing is we're busy creating content for these folks, interacting, customer service, etc. And so there's occasional check-ins, but I feel like we have our roles pretty well divided. Okay. So for example, our A&R department, which is 3 people, they're listening to music all day. We're getting, if you can believe it, anywhere from 50 to 200 songs sent to us every single day. And somebody needs to
Wow.
go through that music. And so they're doing that. And, you know, and then we have a PR and marketing department. And then, you know, I'm doing the label management, sort of overseeing the ship. And then we have other pieces, legal, etc. But surprisingly, we, other than a few check-ins here and there, Skyping a little bit, the machine just kind of keeps rolling. And I really attribute that to the fact that many of our team members are artists who started as artists on the label and really then just sort of became a part of the team, and that we have a shared vision of elevating the next generation of electronic artists. And other than that, we do have certain tools. So we have Zoom, you know, we have Skype, we have Discord. If anyone hasn't used Discord before, such an incredible social network and chat tool and everything.
Mhm.
And we do have a number of things, but we really keep it basic and are kind of allergic to long meetings. So
Yeah, they're time consuming, and most of the time they're
there,
pointless anyways.
tell
uh,
me about it.
but so you tapped a little bit into it, but if you can explain a little more, how do you select the people who work with you? I mean, if they have a background in the music industry, obviously
Mhm.
they're a good fit. But would you say that someone who just wants to start out now, starting to become a remote worker, um,
Yes.
would they be considered at all, or?
Okay, let me tell you, I want to talk about opportunities in this company, but
Mm,
also the music industry is so much bigger than us. You know what I
mm,
mean? And I want to give people some real ways to work remotely in the music industry, because you can do it. You can work in other industries, but if music is your thing and you've always wanted to do it,
mhm,
there is a lot of need for that. So with our company, here's how we do it. It's very simple. we put out, we don't use any job boards, any of that. We love our community. And so whenever we have an opening, whether it's a full-time position, a freelance position, whatever it is that's needed, we simply put it out in the universe. We make a quick post and we say, everybody, here's what we're looking for. And, you know, we've been able to find people who have music backgrounds, who don't have music backgrounds, who are simply lovers of music and have really strong skill sets, accounting, whatever the case may be. And that's worked really well. And we don't care where you are. Okay. So our graphics and video editors happen to be in India. You know, we have somebody else in Lithuania. We have somebody else in Paris, France. That is irrelevant. Like I couldn't tell you how, even before Corona, it was like this. Corona obviously changes it for the whole world, but
Yeah.
I've never asked one of my team members like, hey, are you sure you want to stay in Morocco and not go here? I mean, the world's your oyster, and we really believe in adventure and fun. And you know, like I'll get it. So anyway, so with us it's very simple. We announce things as they're available. You can also you know, DM us on Instagram, email us, go to nofacerecords.com, all this. And you know, we're very approachable and are always looking for interesting people. Beyond that, I would say for the music business in general, there are a number of things you can do. So first of all, if you have a specific skill set, okay, like let's say you're a really good accountant, or you're a PR person, or you're a digital marketer, or you're any number of these other positions that apply to so many other industries out there, you can literally build your own freelancing business doing that, and approaching people and saying, hey, listen, I notice you guys are doing a good job at this. You might need a little help with that. Here's what I do, blah, 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 blah. And you can literally build a business around that. So for example, I have friends who, we have an in-house public relations team at NoFace, but for example, a lot of other labels and artists and so on, they don't do that. They rely on freelancers and people who do that for a living. Well, those people are all around the world. And I've seen people do that. I've seen people become what's called a booking agent. Like Julia, if I'm not mistaken, you're in Asia at the moment, right?
Yeah, we're in Thailand at the moment. Yeah. Sitting
Thailand, there you go. Thailand, full of parties. Thailand, Bali, all this full of parties. Something that, like for example, if you're the kind of person who likes to is a really good middle person, a very good middleman, and likes to be between two sides. I'll give you a perfect example. Reach out to different concert venues or nightlife venues and say, hey, I noticed you're booking these kind of people. If I could bring you more talent, this is obviously for a go-getter. Not everybody wants to start their own business, but let's say you do. And so you reach out to clubs in Bangkok, some of those other cities in Thailand, Manila, etc. You take all of Southeast Asia and you start reaching out to folks and you say, hey, listen, because Asia is sort of the the Wild West of bookings, artist bookings. And you say, look, if I could bring you really great talent, would you do this? And would you give me a chance to book some of your nights? And some of them will say, sure, we'll give you a chance. Who have you got? And you say, one sec. Then you reach out to a bunch of artists. You look at different artists, whether electronic music or other forms of entertainment, and you say, hey, listen, Southeast Asia, you know, we have some opportunities for you. Can you tell me roughly what we can book you for? Blah, blah, blah. And you start playing this middle person, and guess what? There's 10%. Every artist who is touring around the world normally, there's their booking agent makes 10%. And then other than that, like I said, there's freelance. I'm sorry, I hope I'm not rambling. There's you know, there's a lot of, especially with Corona, but even before then, there's a lot of full-time positions. If you literally Google, you know, music industry, remote work, etc., there's a lot of opportunities in this space.
Okay, yeah, that's great advice. I like that. Perfect. And if you, well, before you had this company and you were an online entrepreneur, tell me a little bit how you decided to do your own thing, and especially to do it online instead of going to an office and work your 9 to 5 like everyone else is doing.
Excellent question. I was always a really okay, like I was always a really bad student to begin with. Intellectually curious, awful at sort of rigid schedules and being forced to learn certain things.
Yeah.
And I made a really bad employee. I think that's why I got into entrepreneurship. I was just a really bad employee. I was fired from so many different jobs, you know what I mean? And so finally I thought, look, I just have to work for myself because this isn't going to work otherwise. So when I was in tech, I was definitely not. I was very much fixed to an office in Silicon Valley, but I did have an international background. So I was born in Ukraine, and speak English and Russian, and then most recently learned Spanish in Latin America. And then I ended up getting into the music business because I just felt like tech is, I don't know, didn't have enough emotion and feeling and so many other things. And so I kind of switched into music, and I worked at some of the highest levels of the corporate side of the music industry in LA, so the epicenter, the number one music city in the world, from 2010 to 2014. And I got to see the world, but from an airplane in a hotel room. So I'd be in Miami for a couple of days, and then go to Ibiza for a couple of days, and here and there, and Bali and whatever. And but I always felt like these Prague. I always felt like these places are so interesting, but I didn't feel like I had enough time to really get to know them. When you travel enough, you start to think, well, wouldn't it be interesting to spend a few months here, or a year, and
Absolutely.
really get to know these people, right? And so in 2014, I had a chance to do that, and a friend of mine, a former colleague, he's a Swedish guy in Stockholm, said we had some ideas for a business, and he said, "Listen, why don't you come over to Stockholm?" And I thought, well, why don't I? And so I left, sort of uprooted my life in LA, and I'd never really been out of the US other than that initial immigration when I was a kid with the family. And so I came to Sweden and spent a year in Sweden developing an artist management company with my former business partner, Oscar. And then we started working with freelancers in the Philippines, in Manila, Philippines. And next thing you know, I was on a plane to Manila, and I ended up opening an office and spending some time in Manila, and then came back to I came back to the U.S. in 2016 and worked a little bit for Silicon Valley in Silicon Valley, and I just didn't feel like the travel bug was over, and I felt like I spent so many years working for money, but I thought, I had a little flexibility and I thought, you know what, I want to spend some time working to learn something rather than to make a profit. So I went down to Mexico City, where a friend of mine, she was living at the time, and I spent 6 months just doing hardcore Spanish immersion. Okay, so I was learning Spanish 8 hours a day, just
Mm. Muy
schooling, the whole thing.
bien.
Oh, puede hablar español también, qué
Ah, por
bueno. Uh,
supuesto. Mi
Me
esposo es
alegro.
así.
Qué,
Yeah.
qué bueno, eso, bueno, mi novia, mi prometida está dominicana.
Oh,
So anyway, so I did that, and then after doing all that, and in between, I should say one other thing. So obviously, as a digital nomad, so after many years around the world and all this, I just kind of had the bug, and wanted to travel and live tropical lifestyle and all this other stuff. But at the end of the day, there is one other thing I should tell you, which is I started investing in real estate at a certain point. Okay. So I started buying little properties here and there, turning them into Airbnbs and all this. And it was sort of a hedge against entrepreneurship, because I thought, with entrepreneurship, it's always up and down, up and down. And I thought, I want something to be stable so I can sleep at night. So I started buying, investing in little properties. And a lot of people, especially in the US and Europe, think if you invest in property, you need to spend hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. But that's really not true. Like if you look at this city I'm in, Cabarete, Dominican Republic, where I am, it's a kite surfing town, like a small beach town. You can buy a property here for $50,000 and rent it out to tourists for $500 a month, give or take. So, anyways, and I started doing that, and so by the time, and my business partner Max Vangeli, who spent years and years as an international DJ producer, like he literally lived on an airplane for 10 years, and then we started this, and we had this idea to give back and open the doors of the music industry to a whole new generation, and change a lot of things about it, and not lock them into long-term deals and some of the other things that I told you. But the thing is, we were both in a place in our lives where I don't want to say we were rich because that's not true. We weren't driving Ferraris or anything like that, but we were comfortable enough where we were no longer. We both had this realization, like, and we partnered on a couple of real estate things, and we just realized, oh my gosh, we don't have to work for a paycheck anymore. We just sort of real estated our way out of that just by making smart moves year after year. And after having a few years where we spent a ton of money, and then we got smart and started investing. And anyways, and we just realized, okay, well, if you have passive income coming in, okay, I guess you could sit on a hammock and do nothing, or it's all about lifestyle design. And we just thought, we really want to give back and create the kind of record label and be the kind of people that we wish were around, when we got into the music industry, because it really would have saved us a lot of time and headaches. And here we are.
That's so cool. Such a
Thank
cool
you.
story. Yeah, perfect. And can you tell a little bit? I mean, now we all know about the positives and the advantages of not being stuck in one place and being having the freedom of moving around, obviously. But
Mhm.
there are obviously also some obstacles. What is the biggest, or let's call them challenges? I like it better this way. What do you think is the biggest challenge, or the biggest challenges when it comes down to living remotely or location independently?
That's really great. I'm glad you asked that. So first of all, I think when you first do this, it's a lot of fun. So
Mm.
you're here, you're there, you're in Mexico City, you're in New York, you're having a great time. At some point, if you do it long enough, you have no roots, okay? Or certain things that used to be fun become very frustrating. Like, I'll give you an example. So a few friends and I, we were in Mexico City back in 2017, and we were in Mexico City. Is such a big place, Julia, that I mean, it's 20 million people. It's a country, okay,
Yeah.
essentially. And we were changing apartments every week on Airbnb, okay, to explore the city, because we were so busy working, we didn't have time to, or in my case, studying Spanish, that we didn't have time to really explore. So we thought, okay, let's just locate ourselves in a different place every week. Every week. So over 6 months, I've lived in, I don't even know how many places in Mexico City, okay, different neighborhoods, and it was amazing. And but at the end of the day, at least what I got out of that is, at some point I thought, that becomes very frustrating, because at a certain point you're like, okay, the curtains are good here, but it's loud, and this is good there, but the neighbors are annoying, and the bed is wrong, and blah blah blah. Like you get to the
Yeah.
point where you think, and I think a lot of people get to this, and I've heard this, people talk about, Andrew Henderson, Nomad Capitalist, talks about this, where you just kind of want a home base. Even if you are going to travel, you want a home base. And
Mhm.
that's the point I got to. Plus, I got engaged and everything else. And so, my fiance and I, we are, first of all, we have a music studio here in beautiful Punta Cana, Dominican Republic. And so our company, if you want to talk about offices, we have a little office in Miami, and then a music studio in Punta Cana, Dominican Republic. And so, I divide my time between Miami and here in the Dominican Republic, which is really convenient because it's only a 2-hour flight, and it's very easy to just hop around like that.
Mm.
But what I think the biggest challenge that you will run into is, at a certain point, you might miss friends, you might miss having a stable home, or whatever it is, whatever the case may be. And so the way that I solved that problem is simply by no longer hopping around the world. In other words, I did that, it was awesome, and now it's more about uh, being between a couple locations, and also traveling more with purpose than for the heck of it. Because you know what I mean. When you travel enough, at certain point, that
Yeah.
mentality, I feel like, changes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've been living this lifestyle since 2011, and I also came to that point where I felt like, oh, now it's simply enough. I haven't seen the whole world. Forgot. I mean, there's still so many places I haven't been, but I've seen quite a few, and it's just the fact that yeah, it's exhausting, and it's also, like you say, you come to a new place and say, oh, there's another nice building or
Right.
temple or whatever there is, a waterfall, and there's only so much you can absorb and digest. And then I guess we humans, we are always a little bit we're not good in taking routines. So even if traveling sounds fun when I think traveling sounds fun because it isn't a routine for most people, and then when it becomes your lifestyle, it becomes a routine, and then it kind of becomes normal. And yeah, I don't want to talk negatively about it, but only that people become aware of the fact that also with this lifestyle you have to really focus on what is it that makes you happy, and then bring that into your life in the current lifestyle with you. And yes, we got to the point where we say we want to choose 3 or 4 locations, or maybe only 2 or 3 locations around the world that we can call our homes, so that we have some home bases, and then we just escape the winter because we don't like the cold, and move from these in between these destinations. Because other than that, it's yeah, we done the travel thing. And so yeah,
So
like,
what are your destinations? Where do you hop around
yeah, well, we
between?
haven't finally decided yet, because only when our
Mm,
second child was born last year, we it became more and more urgent, and or not urgent, but we talked about it more frequently, that now we need to change something. Before that, we were totally fine, and we were saying, oh, how about exploring XYZ? And we went to, the Canary Islands, and I mean, we explored many parts in Asia, and Central and South America, North America, and
mm.
this was all fun and all good, even as a family. But now we really have become fond of Thailand, since we've been
Mm.
stuck here on Koh Phangan, a beautiful island in the south, since January because of COVID-19. And this kind of feels already like home. I mean, we've been here for almost 7 months, and this is a long time for us. Usually we travel every 2 or 3 months. And so this is definitely one place that we consider now to come back to every now and then. And then some parts in Europe, like my second son was born on La Palma, the one of the Canary Islands, which is really beautiful too. And then I fell in love with Hawaii, but it's so hard as a non-US
Mm.
citizen to get there and to actually, frequently enter the US. So especially now these days. So yeah, we haven't really figured it out. Costa Rica would also be one of the places that I could call home. Absolutely. So yeah, I'm looking at the time. I mean, it's always so when I have a guest that is so interesting like you, then time flies. But
Thank you.
unfortunately, I only have time for one last question, Dennis. Um, can you tell us a little bit about your future plans now? It seems like you've reached the top and you've had it all. And what comes next? Is there anything else?
I think two things. Let's explore that from the point of view of digital nomading and just from a life point of view. I think from just a personal point of view, it's a lot of giving back, because I think there is so much to. I think we can all give back. So, like I'll give you. And as far as digital nomading, what intrigues me more than if if before, now that I have kind of found my home bases, I think. eh, it's building things that really intrigues me. So I'll give you an example. Just like you and your family are over there in that island in Thailand. So we did the same thing, except it's in this kite surfing town in the north of the Dominican Republic, Cabarete. And what my fiance and I realized being over here is that there's all these people from the U.S. and Europe and all around the world who are coming here because it's if you're kite surfing, it's here or maybe 10 other places in the world. That's it.
Mm.
And we realized there's no infrastructure for digital nomading. So we're in the process of opening the very first co-working space here. And I think that'll
Nice.
be our legacy to this town. And we love this town. Also in Punta Cana, where, as I mentioned, or specifically in the community of Cap Cana, we have something we're doing next summer, which is we're doing a music production crash course in the entire month of July. And we're having our community of students, as I mentioned, we have our NoFace Academy students, and we have a community of almost 40,000 electronic producers and artists. And so we said, everybody, come over to Punta
Wow.
Cana for the summer, whether you can do a week or 4 weeks, and we'll
It's
teach
gonna
you the
be
business
crowded.
of music. What's that?
That's gonna be crowded if everyone shows
They
up.
are so excited, especially the Brits and people from Brazil. It's going to be like this international. It's going to be great. We have people from Kazakhstan coming. They're so excited, and so that's going to be a blast. So I think what's next for me is just doing more in Miami and the Dominican Republic, and there's certain conferences as a company that we go to, which it'll be fun to bring our team together as usual, and Amsterdam for Amsterdam Dance Event, Miami Music Week. And other than that, just building and building this community, because when you say, look, I only want to bring the 10 biggest artists in the world, well, that's your people and you're doing deals. Whereas we go way down the pyramid and we say, listen, if
Mhm.
we've worked with some big people, but otherwise my passion is new people, because that's where the creative energy is and so much more. And I think all we're trying to do is tell everybody, look, if you don't know how to get into this thing, just join us. And whether you're ready to be signed to a label or you simply want to participate and do this as a hobby and meet other people from around the world, we're here and we're going to have a blast because we love this.
Okay, this is so cool. Such a good idea, and I think and I hope. I mean, I'm gonna follow your journey, obviously, and I hope this is gonna be
Thank
a
you.
successful event. It sounds like it already. Perfect. Okay, well, thanks again for being on the show. It was very interesting, and I wish I had more time to talk to you. Maybe we do a second round one day soon. Yeah, if people want to reach out, I think they can do that over your label, but tell them again where they can find you.
Yes. So, first of all, if you want to send us demos, very simple. We have a demo drop on nofacerecords.com. So, if you've made an electronic music song and you want to send it to our team, we will listen. And we're one of the few labels in the world that actually gets back to you. Most labels don't. We get back to you and tell you why or why not. And it's a ton of work. It's so much work, but we're happy to do it. Nofacerecords.com. Other than that, we have a bunch of socials, but it's all on the site, Instagram, YouTube, whatever you want, Spotify. But nofacerecords.com, that's it. Reach out, say hi, DM, whatever. We are, I promise you, the most accessible label you've ever seen in your life.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Dennis. Thanks for taking your
Thank you again,
time.
Julia.
Thanks for sharing all your insights. And yeah, thanks for listening, guys. If you have any questions and comments, please drop them below and like this video, or yeah, make sure to be on the show next time when we're live again. And so take care, everyone. Have a good day.